Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Amy Jeffers. We warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal Frank Robert Symons, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. For those who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament. Flowers of the forest, wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Frank Robert Symons. Frank Robert Symons was born in July 1895, the 8th of 9 children born to Thomas and Eliza Symons of the Sydney suburb of Alexandria. Symons attended Superior Public School in Redfern and later worked as a woodturner or a machinist. As a young man, he was a member of the Cadets and then the local 34th Militia, where he gained valuable initial military training. Symons enlisted in the Australian Imperial 4th on the 29th of July 1915 and 2 months later sailed from Sydney to Egypt. He arrived too late to take part in the Gallipoli campaign, but instead arrived in a period known as the doubling of the AIF, when existing units withdrawn from Gallipoli were expanded and reinforced with new recruits and new battalion raised. Symons arrived as part of the reinforcements of the 17th Infantry Battalion, joining D Company. After a period of training with his new unit, he embarked for France, arriving in March 1916. He first entered the trenches of the Western Front at Armentières in northern France, an area known as the nursery sector, where troops would receive a relatively gentle introduction to the rigours of trench warfare. In July and August 1916, Symons took part in the bloody Battle of Pozières near the River Somme. The winter of 1916 and 1917 was one of the coldest in living memory, and Symons was hospitalised twice with skin diseases associated with the difficult conditions faced in the trenches. In March 1917, he was promoted from private to lance corporal. On the 15th of April 1917, Symons and the 17th Battalion were in the trenches near Nouriel and Landicourt, just north of the River Somme, when the Germans launched an attack which broke the lines of the Australian 12th Battalion to the right of the 17th Battalion, forcing Symons and his unit to withdraw to avoid being outflanked. The Australians launched a counterattack and within 2 hours had regained all lost ground and large numbers of German prisoners, but the cost had been heavy. The 17th Battalion suffered 181 casualties, including at least 43 killed. During the battle, Symons was seen to have been shot through the head. One witness to his death stating that his last words as he fell were, "Oh mother." He was 21 years old. He was buried near where he fell, but the exact position of his grave was lost in subsequent fighting. His name is now recorded on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux in France, which lists the names of more than 10,000 Australian soldiers of the Great War who have no known grave. Frank Symons was dearly missed, one of many tributes left to him in newspapers by family and friends describing him as a smiling face sadly missed. Lance Corporal Frank Robert Symons is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Frank Robert Symons, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope for a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.